everyone. Welcome. My name is Anne-Marie. I am, the host of Living Love Consciously, or the person that talks to you about living love consciously. And today I want to talk about love. I know, seriously, it's not going to be another message of everybody needs to love each other and everybody, blah, 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 blah. It kind of is, honestly. So I kind of think that I do, and I try to live my life that way, and that's why my channel is called Living Love Consciously. It's interacting with people with an attitude of compassion and love, and being able to put yourselves in their shoes. And what do I mean by that? For example, I was thinking about this restaurant. It's this French restaurant. I'll tell you two stories. I'll try to keep it that way. There's this French restaurant. It's like French fast food in the city. And my new boss took me there. And, the selling point was is to help the disabled community, people who have disabilities. And for sure, getting your food wasn't as efficient. It wasn't as, it was kind of annoying. And I know it sounds heartless to say it like that, but just speaking honestly, it was annoying because the orders were wrong. There were a lot of mistakes made. But I didn't get upset or anything like that. It was just that was the fact of the situation. That was a fact of the situation. If you're going to have people who are challenged mentally, maybe physically as well, that convenience and efficiency might not be something you're going to get, and you have to make that decision. But my point of telling you this story is I didn't think at the time, or maybe now I'm thinking about it, it wasn't feeling pity for those people because I knew that they had mental or physical disabilities that took them out of the spectrum of normal. It was more about approaching everyone with some level of compassion, that you allow yourself to be patient with everyone in every situation. And that takes a lot of work. So it doesn't matter if the person is disabled or falls out of the spectrum of normal, what we define as normal in society. Is just I'm interacting with someone. I need to have patience and compassion because there are things that they may be dealing with that I'm not aware of that takes them out of the norm. Of course, there are people who are out of the norm to society because they do have physical ailments that you can see, but there are also people who are out of the norm of society that you may not be able to see their abnormality at the moment. For example, someone could wake up and their attitude could be abnormal for that moment, for that time that you interact with them, because they probably didn't have a really good night's sleep, because they had a fight with someone, or because they had an argument, or because they had negative self-talk. So it's always about having a level of patience and compassion with everyone you interact with. And it's not an easy thing. It's not something that you always are in the consciousness of doing. It's something that you have to practice, and you have to consciously always tell yourself, hey, the person on the other line could be dealing with a plethora, whatever, of things that I'm unaware of. How can I show them compassion and patience in this moment? And I think this is what happened to customer service. Customer service died, and AI and automation started to be able to infiltrate our society in the way that it has, because compassion and patience died. We stopped being compassionate towards each other. So the person who's the customer service rep is maybe having a bad day. The person who's calling in is annoyed about something, and it's conflict. But if both people were consciously aware and saying, you know what? I am really pissed off about what I'm calling for. And the person on the other line, for whatever reason, this person is going to be calling me probably to talk about something that they dislike. I need to have compassion and a level of patience when interacting with this person. I think customer service would have thrived, and automation and AI would not have had the room to come into our society the way it has. For example, I think I've talked about it before, when being able to order online and not having to deal with a bitchy ass salesperson, I was like, yes. Or someone trying to sell me something I did not need, I was like, yes, please bring it on. But now I'm like, oh, I was being part of a movement that was going to take jobs away from people. I mean, in hindsight is whatever that term is. But now when I speak to people, I always try to have compassion and patience in my interactions with them. And I'm not saying I'm 100% good at this, but that's what living love consciously is. It's about practicing those conscious acts on a daily basis until they become part of your norm. Second story is today, there's a lot of protests going on. I don't know all of them because I do not watch the news. My husband does, people around me do, so I always kind of know what's going on, but I'm not someone who's like looking for the news. Let's just say that. So there is like people on skateboards, scooters, just zooming down the street on a busy two-way, like New York. I don't know if you've ever been in a major city. Like sometimes there's one-way streets, two-way streets. This wasn't a highway or anything. It was just like a crossing between an avenue. All right. So they're like zooming. We hear them, we see them. We're like, what's that ruckus? The light turns for us to give us the right of way. And these a-holes do not stop. They just keep going. And I've got my kid with me. I'm pushing them and I'm like, stop. And then one of them goes, move. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, Mama Bear came out and I would have and at that moment, I probably should have patience and compassion for that person. And maybe that would have made the situation better. But at the same time, I am in a flight or fight situation where there's tons of people coming at me and I have the right of way. And I'm trying to see if they're going to stop. And some of them are not even looking in my direction to see if there's pedestrians coming towards them or in front of them, because they're so self-absorbed into whatever they're doing, whatever they believe they're protesting for, that they're willing to put themselves in danger and other people in danger. That is just incompetence. Like, seriously. And it's obnoxious, and I'm tired of self-absorbed, narcissistic, I don't even know if I'm using that term right, well, of people. There's a generation of people, and I think I participated in that. I think the spiritual community participated in that, of telling people that they're unique, they're special, they're all these things, without saying, hey, you're all these unique things, but you have to be able to function in a society for it to be able to work. You can't just function on just your own selfish desires. It's not going to build a society. It's going to crumble a society. When we're all just in these individual little things, doing our own individual little things and not caring about the whole, you're going to have a big problem. You're going to have people who are speeding on scooters and not even like manual. Some of them were on manual skateboards, but still, like, my neighbor, someone on a manual skateboard ran into her and she had to have pins in her knees and she had the right of way. So like, and now everybody's on a motorized kind of concoction, and that is dangerous. And when you're so self-absorbed and you don't care how your actions affect other people, that's a problem for society. And it goes back to, again, had that person had some compassion and patience for the fact that I'm a pedestrian and I have a child and I'm trying to cross the street. You don't know what was like, I wasn't doing it against the light. I had the right of way and I was trying to cross as safely as I could, and you're yelling at me, telling me to move when you're not even paying attention. Like I had to yell, stop, I'm trying to cross the street. For them to even, one person I think acknowledged it, and then she was trying to tell the people behind her to stop, and I'm trying to still tell people because I'm still trying to cross, and they're still coming. So it's like, that whole thing was so obnoxious, and it didn't turn my day off. It just brought to my attention how narcissistic, again, self-absorbed, there's a portion of society, and I'm going to say it, a lot of it are people that are younger than me, who've lived in a generation where they were told how unique and awesome that they are, and that blah, 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 and no one told them that they also could be their unique selves, but had to function in a community, had to make decisions, had to be aware of how their actions affect every other thing. And again, when you're thinking about yourself, think about your body as a mechanism, the humanness that you are. If all its parts did not work together and still maintain an individual job, you would not be alive. And that's what society has to do for it to function and to grow and to be healthy. Like if my heart was like, you know what, I'm keeping all this blood for me. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to pump it. I'm not going to help it circulate. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it all for me. If my white blood cells were like, you know what, I don't feel like fighting this disease, I'm just going to let it be. Let it roam. You know, like if my brain was like, you know what, I'm not going to even help her eyes understand what's going on around her, and she could just figure it out for herself. Like I'd be a blind person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it that way. When you are trying to be an individual, yes, you can be an individual. The heart is the heart. It will always be the heart. It's never going to be something else. It is, that's what it differentiated into when it was a single cell. Like, that's what it did. That cell was like, okay, I'm going to build the heart. That other cell was like, I'm going to build the lungs. I'm going to build your kidneys. I'm going to build your spinal column. I'm going to build your bones. I'm going to build your skin, and so on and so on. And it worked together to bring you, this unique individual, into society, into a community that you then have to do the same thing. I am going to be an artist, and I'm going to help enlighten humanity and keep them kind of youthful and appreciative and in awe. I'm going to create art. I'm going to be a surgeon. If somebody breaks something, I'm going to be able to help them mend it. I'm going to be a physical therapist. And if somebody, breaks something, the surgeon fixes it, I'm going to help them get back into regular society. That is how we're supposed to interact with each other. And that starts with everyone being able to be compassionate and to be patient enough to understand the needs of their society and how they can contribute to that while still being who they need to be. All right, that's it. That's all I'm going to say to you guys. And again, this is Anne-Marie coming from Living Love Consciously. I know today's video, I was a little hyper, and you could still feel the energy of this morning, the audacity of this young woman who should have some kind of motherly instinct to see there's a family trying to cross the street, and for her not to be screaming at us to move when we had the right of way. And that's another problem when people do not have anything to care about besides themselves and things and ideas that come outside that don't have anything to tether to their longevity. Meaning when you have children, you have something in the future that you're thinking about. So your actions now, you think about, if you are mentally sound, if you are, balanced and you don't have any other issues, because there are parents with issues. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's trying to be perfect, but you acknowledge that, right? Then you have something to look forward to. Then your actions now, you say, oh, I need to make actions for my children to be able to live in a world that I'm leaving them behind. And so when society stops creating, progeny, then you think, this is it. I'm going to die. Who the fuck cares what happens after I die? Decisions I make, who cares? They won't affect me because I'm not leaving anything. And you don't realize that until you actually have something to care about that's going to be here after you die. All right, because it's going to happen to all of us. Okay, again, that's all I'm saying. And this is not a lecture. This is just me talking about living love consciously. And again, today's lesson or today's discussion is about having patience and compassion when we interact with other people as well as ourselves. It has to start with us, and then we can take it out into the world. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you again. Bye.